first cut on the solution from the eyes of a business user who is in the function of customer service. So I am a customer service rep in a large enterprise company. My job is to make sure that all of the demand that has come through from my customers or my partners is fulfilled in a timely manner. My power users have already configured the storyboard for me. As soon as I come to work, before I get my first cup of coffee, I take a look at all of the exceptions that I'm supposed to be focused on. Let's take a look at some of these exceptions. The transactions that have a cancel date, which is different from the cancel dates that the distribution center is working with. Transactions which have got certain UPC related issues, transactions which have a pricing issue, transactions where there is a potential label mismatch. Label mismatch is interesting. Transactions where customers have specified a specific label while the inventory in the distribution center has a different label available. This system gives me a list of transactions which are impacted by this exception. When I drill down from any of these charts, I immediately come into a grid view of the data that is underneath those exceptions. So over here, I am now looking at certain transactions which are impacted by this label mismatch issue, certain details of those transactions, who changed it, what kind of label the order is calling for. And whenever I see this grid, I can expand this grid. The universe of details underneath the information that OpsVeda presents is really wide, and this universe comprises of all of the systems that are connected to OpsVeda. So if I have integrated with the backend SAP environment, with my distribution center, with my supply chain partners, with the EDI transactions that are coming in, then all of the attributes corresponding to those and the activities corresponding to those are available for me, and they are actionable right here in the system, and they are live as of 60 seconds from the time any of these things change in the backend environment. If I have done my analysis, I can annotate certain things within this transaction. I can enter my own collaborative message over here, and I can send a message into a colleague of mine who is supposed to take certain actions. If I wanted to send an email from here and I've done my analysis, I can select the transactions and I can trigger an email into my colleague or into my customer. I would like to take a look at a specific transaction and see are all of the line items under the transactions are impacted. So the system gives me an ability to take a look at the demand tree, and this shows me all of the line items that are there in that particular order and what is the corresponding support. Do I have corresponding inventory for each of these line items? And I'm going to drill down into various things that are available for me in the form of an information hub, in the form of from an inventory perspective, what's happening with this transaction, from that product perspective, what's happening with this transaction. So within this information hub, the system shows me various aspects of this transaction. What are the process exceptions that are impacting this transaction? How many days have those exceptions been open? That helps me become more effective over time, because if certain issues remain open in my system for a little too long, maybe I either need a process change or I need to have a conversation with the user to see how we can improve their effectiveness. This view gives me details of what kind of attributes are related to this transaction. It tells me what kind of quantities and amount, what kind of activities have happened from the time this transaction got created, planned activities as well as actual activities. Now imagine OpsVeda has visibility into everything that has happened to individual transactions, and now multiply that with the millions of transactions that might exist in your system. The visualization that you see at the very entry point in the application is an analyzed view of what needs attention as and when I come to work. Now, I take care of exceptions which are impacting my business. I then go on to take care of transactions which are 100% filled or 100% confirmed. There are no inventory challenges. The customer can be served, and I can go to take a look at those transactions. I might be interested in looking at transactions which have negative ATS. Negative available to ship might mean the sum total of all demand exceeds sum total of all supply, and certain high priority customers have been denied stock. So I can drill down into the corresponding transactions, and then I can initiate certain activity, certain collaborative activity with my supply chain partners. After I have taken care of the urgent items that I'm responsible for, I can go get my first cup of coffee, and then I can start looking at my backlog of work from a slightly different lens. If I have transactions which are past cancel, which means I should not be shipping against those transactions unless my customer approves me to do so. If those transactions are holding inventory, I definitely have to take a look at them, and I definitely have to make sure that someone either takes away the inventory against those transactions, or we make those transactions shippable. If there are transactions, orders which are oversold, which means that they have demand which does not have corresponding supply, I may have to go back to my sales rep or my customer and then have certain discussions. I also have visibility into my patch of business from the perspective of a slightly larger horizon, or from the perspective of every transaction that is incomplete across various stages, transactions that are under shipping, and what kind of exception might be impacting those transactions from a shipping perspective.